Hey guys, Cheri here from The Watering Mouth. My website's all dedicated to the Eat to Live Nutritarian lifestyle. Wanted to do a Q&A video for you today. I received a question from somebody in email. Her name is Andrea. She's from Cleveland, and she was asking about prepping. She was saying that her biggest issue with sticking to this lifestyle is that she needs to learn how to prep better. And we went back and forth for a little while about this, and you can understand that as somebody with a business, a website, a YouTube channel, complete, private coaching practice, everything dedicated to this healthy eating lifestyle, that this must be something I come across often, right? And it so is. I see it all the time. So much in my high nutrient lifestyle group, with my clients, with just everyone that's interested in doing this lifestyle. Always this idea comes up of needing to prep better. So I want to give you a couple examples of explanation to this and kind of maybe give you a different perspective on it that I hope will help you. Because for me as a coach, when I see an issue coming up over and over and over and over again like this, I know that that is like a little bit of a red flag for me, that it's not actually the issue, right? Like that isn't actually the issue, is learning how to prep. Because first of all, let me say, if you want to know how to prep stuff better, there are thousands of blogs online dedicated to food prep and how to organize your food prep. There are hundreds of Nutritarian recipes for dressings and salads and soups and all of the recipes that you want online. Like anything you can possibly think of, they're already rated. They have star ratings. So many people have already made them, tried and true. This work has already been done for you, right? And in fact, I put on these 21-day challenges that does all of it for you for 21 days, so you don't have to think about anything, right? It's recipes, it's meal plans, it's grocery lists, it's everything you need, all laid out exactly when to prep. Things are like broken down in little pieces, so you don't have to prep all day on a Sunday, right? I do this for you as well. So side note, if you're interested in joining a 21-day challenge with me, my challenges get hundreds of people in them all doing it together. The buzz is incredible. The results are incredible. People lose up to 10, 15 pounds. Someone lost 18 pounds one time on one of my challenges. So it's for weight loss. It's for removing the headache of all this kind of stuff. If you're interested, sign up at thewateringmouth.com/challenge. There's another one coming up really soon. And I want you in on it so you can see how we can remove that overwhelm from you, okay? So that's number one thing I want to say, is that if you're really feeling you just want someone else to do it for you, don't worry, I got you covered. Join in one of my 21-day challenges, okay? And if you missed this upcoming one, don't worry, there's another one coming up. Sign up anyways, and I'll give you some great free information. I always give videos and recipes and so many things when you sign up for these challenges, just for the information about the challenges. And then once you get in there, you'll be overwhelmed with how much amazing content you get to. So I create something specifically to get over this issue with prepping, but this red flag to me about the idea that everyone is always saying, I just need to learn how to prep better, I need to learn how to prep better, shows me that that's not actually your issue. And I'm going to tell you what your issue is, okay? Your issue, from the perspective of a private coach who sees this all the time in depth in people's lives, the issue is not that you don't know how to prep, because if you want to learn how to prep, you can. The issue is that you will not take the time to prep, and that you don't make space for it in your life. That's the issue, okay? If we really get honest with ourselves and we really say, what is the problem here? It's not that you can't find information about prepping, right? You can do one of my 21-day challenges, which many of you do, which is amazing, but then there's this lag afterwards of not being able to figure it out yourself after too, right? Or just never even joining a challenge and just continuing to have that kind of like story of, oh, I'm not a good prepper, I'm just not gonna be able to learn it. The issue is not that you're not a good prepper. The issue is that you're not taking time to learn how to prep, right? You're not carving out a space for that in your life to make it happen all the time. So, this being said, please don't take this harshly. I'm a coach for a living, so I say things a little bit bluntly sometimes. Don't take this the wrong way, but that is your main issue, okay? So then it's like, okay, sure, I admit, like, I have a problem with making time for this. So I'm gonna give you two little tips here that you can take with you, okay? So the first one is, I always go through this sort of conversation with a private client when they have an issue with prepping or making time or whatever. And we'll do this thing. So I want you to do this at home if you can right now with me. Do it for real though, because it is quite important. Don't just be like, oh, that's a good idea, I'll do it later, right? Do it right now. I want you to get out a piece of paper. I want you to write on this piece of paper number 1 through 5. And then I want you to take a minute, pause the video, and I want you to write down your top 5 priorities in life in order. Okay, pause the video and do that. Top 5 priorities. Is it like health, spirituality, kids, family, whatever, like whatever the things are, job, work, money, blah, blah, blah. What are your top 5 priorities? Go pause the video and do that. Okay, do you have your top 5 priorities written down? Now, I'm gonna tell you a little story about one of my clients, a dear, wonderful, amazing client that I have. We were doing this list and she said, work, family, health. Those were the top 3 in there. Then the other ones, I forget what they were, but they were lower down the list. So it was like work, family, health. And I just said to her, that's interesting. Why is work number 1? And she said, well, because you need money to survive, right? And I said, okay, so that's why that's your number 1. Why is family second? Well, because I just love them so much and blah, 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 right? These things seem valid. When you say it, it seems valid, right? That explanation seems valid about it. But then I said to her, but why is your health number 3? Long pause. Right? Her answer was, oh, I guess it shouldn't be, right? Because if I don't have my health, I can't work and I can't take care of my family. And I was like, interesting, right? So we talked through this a little bit more, and what you can do with this list of 5 priorities you have is just order it in the order that you think it should be there, and the order that you actually want it to appear in your life, and then just ask yourself why. Just why did you put that for number 1? Why did you put that for number 2, right? And what do you actually want your priority to be? So here's the thing. If we actually believe that our health should be number 1 and we actually put that in the top slot, then the next exercise is to make a list of all the things that we did yesterday. I did this with a client recently. It's very tedious, it's very boring, right? But we literally went minute by minute. So I was like, okay, we were having our call around 3 p.m. I said, okay, so what did you do yesterday at 3 p.m.? And then it was like, okay, for 30 minutes I did this. All right, then what did you do? Oh, for 5 minutes I did this, right? And then what'd you do? And then for 5 minutes I did, so we went through 24 hours like that of what we did all day long. Then, after you do that, and you really have to do that part seriously and honestly and very detailed, once you've done that, by the way, I'll give you a minute, go ahead and do it actually. This is a really important exercise, and if you go do it right now, you will be amazed at what I'm about to tell you, okay? So take a second, pause it, go do that. Okay, so now you should have a list of 5 priorities. You should have a list of however many things you did yesterday and today. Now, I want you to look at the list of ideal 5 priorities and the things you did yesterday. How many of the things you did yesterday were about number 1, right? Like if we say, for instance, number 1 is our health, how many things did you do yesterday? How many of your 24 hours did you dedicate to health? The people who say they have issues with prep and planning and sticking to it and all that are typically the people who their last 24 hours had not much to do with number 1, right? Maybe our sleep is lacking a little bit. Maybe we're not going to sleep on time. Maybe we're not exercising at all. Maybe we didn't choose to do any exercise for ourselves. Maybe we, allow stress to come into our life a lot. Maybe we didn't prep meals at all. Maybe we just ate convenience foods, or we ate meals that were nearby, or whatever. We didn't bring meals with us, something like that. The people that typically have all of the issues with thinking they need to prep better are the ones that just literally are not taking the time to do it. And so what we do then is we look at our day and we say, all right, where are the places in our day that we could cut back on some things in order to push in prep, in order to push in just thinking about what we're gonna eat ahead of time, right? Okay, so that's the first thing I want you to do. Really take a look at that, okay? I hope this was focused. Shoot, because it looks like it was unfocused for a minute. Okay, so really take a look at that. That's the first thing that I want you to do. Okay, so now you get a little taste for kind of what we work through in my private coaching. I wanna give you one more example just to think about this prep thing, something that might be helpful, okay? There's this little story about this landscape architect, and I heard this story a long time ago, and I love it so much. It made such an impact on me, so I wanted to share it with you. All right, so there was this landscape architect, and he was hired by a university to end the problem of having students trampling the grass, because the students were constantly trampling the grass, going from class to class and not using the sidewalks, and then they were ruining the landscaping. So the university wanted to hire him to put up some nice bushes and hedges and things like that so that they couldn't trample the lawn anymore. And the landscape architects came back to the university and said, hey, actually I have a better idea. He's like, here's the thing. The reason that the students are trampling the grass is because it's the fastest way from point A to point B. That's why they're trampling the grass. So our best bet is actually going to be, looking at where they trample and making the sidewalks there, right? Another version of this story is that he waited until winter to see where they trampled in the snow, and then they made the sidewalks there. So you can imagine exactly where they're trampling. Now this is where the sidewalks are gonna be. So there's no more push or pull, that they're just actually getting sidewalk where they're meant to walk and where they actually are gonna walk anyways. So I love this idea because it's kind of this brilliant strategy of make the things in your life fit around your life as it is now. Here's a real life example. So in my house, I always put my keys, when I get home, I always put my keys up on that counter right there. And I noticed I kept doing that. And I had, on this little tiny table here, I had a little wooden basket that I always was telling myself I was gonna put my keys in there. Never put my keys in there, ever, like not once. And they were always sitting out, and I was getting frustrated with myself for not doing what I said I was gonna do, right? Because I was always put them here instead of over there, so that they're just in a place they're not supposed to be. So what I ended up doing was I put a couple nails up here on the wall so I could get the keys out of the way, and it's close enough to where I set them down anyhow that like now I always put my keys up on the wall there on that little hook when I come in. So this idea is that it was unrealistic for me to put my keys here every time because I always just put them here anyways. I put them at the, you know, the easiest place to set them down. And so I was like, all right, well, let me just put them up on the wall so at least they're out of the way. And that is something I can stick to. Every time I come home, I always put the keys up there. Always, without fail now, because I worked around what was easiest, right? Like I worked around what was the fastest way from point A to point B. Now this relates to our prep in this way. Think of this landscape architect story, think of the keys this way. When it comes to prep and it comes to your Nutritarian lifestyle, it comes to your healthy lifestyle, how are you going to stick to it? So you wanna be asking yourself questions like this, like how am I already making this too hard, right? Like how am I complicating this situation? How can I make things easier? And I gotta tell you, the biggest question I always ask myself all the time about everything I do on a regular basis is, how can I simplify this even more? You would be so surprised at how often you can actually simplify something more if you just ask yourself that question, and you can relieve so much stress just by doing that, okay? So take a look at your day, take a look at the things that you do, really get in there and see, is there a way that I, like if you always say to yourself, like I never make salads, right? Is there a faster, easier way for you to make salads that you've been resisting up until now or you haven't thought of? Even ask yourself, like, what haven't I thought of when it comes to salad making? You'd be surprised that your brain will actually answer you and give you suggestions when you ask things like, what haven't I thought of, you know, or what's a creative way that I could do this, okay? So think about these kinds of things. And then the tip here for that is exactly what I do with the 21-day challenges. I'll choose meals that I can have for a couple days in a row, and then what I do is I'll make enough of them, kind of like batch cooking, but I'll want to make enough of them at a time, but I'll separate out the parts of making that thing into little pieces. So say I was going to make a salad and I wanted to have some peppers in there, right? I would chop up the peppers like right when I got home or from the grocery store, or like the next day I would just like take the peppers, chop them up and put them back in the fridge, right? So I'm doing just a couple minutes of prep, or I would prep the cucumbers, or I would, you know, chop the onions or something like that. I would just do a little bit of chopping at a time where I'm already chopping something else. Just get those chopped up, put them in the fridge, and that way I did some chopping and now it's gonna make my salad go so much easier. On top of that, I'm buying the, you know, the convenience containers of salad greens, which I know is controversial for some people because it creates more plastic waste and blah, 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 but we have to make decisions that work for our lives, right? And if our health is most important, what are we choosing to do in that respect? So buy convenience packages of things, make it easy on yourself so you can just take things out, dump them in a bowl, dump things in, be done with it, right? Make salad dressings that are a lot more convenient. Like instead of having to actually make a salad dressing, make one where you can just mix it into a bowl, right? Like one of my favorites, one of my very favorites that's so delicious and yet seems like it could be complicated when you taste it, but it's like so easy. You just take tahini, take it out of the container, put some on your salad, then you just take some vinegar, some like, you know, really yummy flavored vinegar or something, just pour that on there. That's it. That's your salad dressing, right? Another salad dressing, so easy, just salsa. Just use some salsa as your salad dressing, right? Maybe chop some avocado in there, whatever. Use some lemon juice and vinegar, use some, you know, cashew butter and lemon juice or something like that. Use some avocado and lime juice, whatever. Start to think about ways that you may be complicating this and ask yourself why you're complicating it. The most important question of this whole video is, why are you doing that? Is it because you actually don't want to eat that and you actually want the sandwich instead, right? Or you actually want the burger instead, or you actually want to go to a restaurant instead, and so you're making excuses as to why you can't prep? Another good question to ask yourself, right? If we can get real with ourselves and just choose to have the healthy foods, there's a million ways we can figure out how to make it work in our life if we just get honest with ourselves and start buckling down and make that time, okay? Okay, I hope you guys like this one. Yeah, I have a very interesting perspective on things like this, so feel free to ask me more of these questions and I'd love to answer them in a future Q&A. There is a 21-day challenge coming up where I have done all the prep for you. All you have to do is read the document, buy the groceries, and make the stuff. Nothing, you have to do nothing else. It's all figured out for you. 21-day challenge coming up. You sign up for that at thewateringmouth.com/challenge. You can get in on that with us. Hundreds of people join every time. Super affordable, tons, like crazy amounts of information that you're gonna love. I hope to see you in the next one. And if you miss the next one, don't worry, there'll be another one coming up right away. So make sure you still sign up, all right? Check me out on Patreon if you like these kinds of videos, patreon.com/thewateringmouth. This is a place where you can support me to keep making videos like this for you, okay? All right, that's all I got for you today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.